Welcome to the Out of Capes podcast. I am your host, Stafa, and I am the co-host, Stafa, and with me is my co-host, Eric.
What's up, Staffa?
How you doing, Eric?
I'm good.
So this is the introduction podcast for this podcast. I used the word podcast twice in one sentence already. I'm great. So basically, this episode, we're going to introduce ourselves and talk about what this podcast is all about. That way, we're not just hitting the ground running with our first review podcasts. But anyway, so the way how this episode is structured is we're going to talk about who we are and introduce ourselves. We're going to talk about what shows we watch. What comics we are reading, just to help introduce ourselves, and then we're going to tell you what to expect out of this podcast. So, I'm Stafa, as I already mentioned, and we got Eric over here.
What's up?
And basically, I am the host of the Out of Continues podcast, and I decided I want to do a spin-off of that podcast, which is a video game focused podcast, and I like watching TV as well, so I wanted to do a show with my friend Eric over here. Eric?
Yes, and I've been on your podcast before.
Yes. And yeah, that's pretty much it as far as introducing myself. I mean, you got anything you want to add, Eric?
I mean, is there any comics they need to know that you're reading?
We'll get to that in a second. So, but first, let's talk about TV shows, since this is what this podcast is going to be about. I mean, obviously, since we're going to be doing podcasts on Arrow and Flash, I say obviously because you'll see that there's an episode up already for those shows. I watch those TV shows, Arrow and Flash. I also watch Gotham, and as of right now, I don't have any plans on doing a podcast with that because that show is silly.
I mean, I've watched it, and the only reason I would continue watching is because it's Batman.
Yeah, it's a really silly show. Like, I don't know what they're doing with it. They're trying to make it dark, but they're also making it really silly.
I saw somewhere, and they're actually kind of going with it, is like with Arrow, they have like the Easter eggs, and you have to like really understand what they are. Gotham, it's like, hey, this is an Easter egg, and they throw it out like in your face, trying to like make sure you know it's an Easter egg.
But I mean, it's not just that. It's just
I
the
like this
show
one
is
too
so
hard.
goofy. I mean, like, you have Penguin stabbing a guy to death for a sandwich, and then you have the Balloon Man, which was the antagonist of the latest episode. It's just overall a really silly show. But two of my favorite shows right now are Game of Thrones and House of Cards, which I think those are the best shows on right now. The only complaint I have of House of Cards is the fact that the way how they release all the episodes for the season at once, it makes it really hard to create discussion with friends. You know what I mean, Eric?
Yeah, but I haven't watched that show.
I mean, like, with Arrow, it's like, hey, did you watch
Yeah.
this week's episode? And we could
I
talk
understand
about
what you're
it,
saying.
And I don't like
Yeah.
how House of
If
Cards,
you watch them all the time.
yeah, it's hard to have discussion about that show unless you make sure that your friends are on the same episode, or you have to just finish the whole season, then you talk about it. I also watch Walking Dead. It has its ups and downs. And I also like animated shows. Like I'm currently watching Legend of Korra, and I liked animated shows like Young Justice, which I thought was really excellent. So, I mean, that's me. What about you, Eric? You want to talk about some of the shows you watch?
Well, some of the shows I watch are like Arrow and Flash.
Mhm.
I watch Game of Thrones like you, and I think it's a really good show.
Yeah.
And most of the other shows I watch are shows I watch with my wife, so they're like regular reality shows,
Oh, you mean like The Bachelor and Bachelorette?
like Face Off and Top Chef and Hell's Kitchen,
Glee.
like those
Glee.
ones. I don't watch Glee. Luckily, I don't watch Glee.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much like the shows I watch. I don't. I'm not like a couch potato. You know, just channel surfing. In fact, most of the shows I watch are online. You know, like
I mean, that's
fortunately,
how I do. Is like the shows I watch, I know what day they come out, and then I'll watch them online. But I don't like sit on in front of a television and just watch whatever's on television.
yeah, same here. Um, yeah, I'm a video game guy, so if I have nothing to do, I'll play video games or read comics or something like that. I just don't sit around just flipping channels until I find
Yeah.
something to watch. As far as comics, since you know Arrow and Flash and all those are comic related, I figured we could mention some comics that we read, and I actually have some visuals. Um, I've been reading Invincible for quite a while, and I need to catch up. I'm a little behind on Invincible. In fact, I haven't even read this one that's in my hand right now yet. Still need to catch up on that. I need to catch up on Walking Dead as well. Um, I've read Future's End up until this issue right here that's in my hand, which is issue 8, and that was mainly because I thought it was going nowhere, but I mean, Eric, you told me that it's starting to get good, right?
It's one of those things where since there's like 5 different storylines happening at the low burn because they have to kind of like set up around like I would say probably 15 it gets really good.
Mhm.
And then when they do all the like Futures End tie-ins like the Green Arrow Futures tie-in, it's one of those things where it kind of like explains a lot. And
Yeah.
I've heard that all the other ones do too.
I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna wait for the trades volume to come out
Yeah.
and just get that because I mean it's a weekly comic which is hard enough to keep up with in the first place. So I think I'll just wait for just one trade with like whole volume in it and then just start reading that instead. I started getting into Moon Knight. He's pretty crazy. I've been keeping up with Miss Marvel. I know this is the first one, but I just think this is the coolest cover of them all. Miss Marvel, I really like. Been reading some Ninja Turtles. Here's City Fall Part 2 right here, like that, and got into Fables too because of the Wolf Among Us video game. Really got me into that universe. So. I mean that's pretty much it as far as me with comics. What about you, Eric?
Me, I mostly read like recently. I've been reading Green Arrow, The Flash. I've been reading probably. I started up on the new suit and read.
Mm-hmm.
Those really all the ones I've been reading recently.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I want to make note that you're a huge Green Arrow fan.
Yes,
Correct?
I am.
Yeah.
I am very, and I own a lot of Green Arrow comics.
Yes. And
I think it's so. I think I looked up one. I own like every Green comic made since 2001,
nice.
and then I have some like the older ones, like
So
the whole Green Arrow run from '76. I have an original copy of that.
So what definitely use your vast knowledge of uh, Green Arrow um, knowledge, and use that within our podcast, and talk
Mythos.
about what's going on. Yeah, with the mythos. So that's one thing I want to cover real quick. But as far as the podcast itself, I want to make notes that we're going to be releasing um, this podcast both on YouTube and on our website as an MP3. The website is outofcontinuous.com/TV podcasts, and you as of right now, you basically would I'd recommend listening to the MP3 version instead, because the quality is going to be a lot better. Right now, Eric is lagging a lot, and I don't know if I sound any better or not, but there's going to be some lag on this YouTube version, the video, but on the MP3 it should sound a lot better since we're both recording our audio locally. Um, Basically, we're going to record every Friday, or at least we're going to try to record every Friday, because Flash comes on Tuesdays, Arrow comes on Wednesdays, and I figure that should give us enough time to try to record, try to watch those episodes, take some notes on them, and then record and upload by Friday or Saturday. So we're going to try to get them up on Friday. Obviously, this week we didn't get it up on a Friday, but that's because we're just having a rocky start. But once we get into the groove of things and get the website set up and the RSS feed set up, then we should be more consistent about that. The episodes will have pretty much three or four segments, depending on if we get any listener feedback or not. We're going to have it's going to start as a recap of the episode, a quick recap, and then we're going to review and rate the episode, and if we have listener feedback, it'll go at that point. But after that, we're basically going to give everyone a warning, a spoiler warning, in case people don't want to hear spoilers, because I know there are people who like to hear discussions on the shows, but they don't want to know about what's going to happen next. So after that, we're going to talk about spoilers. Either, it's going to be either theories as far as what we know from the comics, or things that have leaked about the next episode or whatever. So we want to try to make sure that we don't spoil anything during our recap and review, and keep all that stuff for the end of the podcast. So if you want the spoilers, then you can continue listening. If you don't want the spoilers, then you can stop the podcast and tune in next week. As I mentioned, we're going to have the MP3 on the website, outofcontinuous.com/podcasts. Sorry, outofcontinuous.com/TV podcasts. And as of right now, we're only going to do a podcast for CW's Arrow and CW's Flash. There's a possibility we might expand from there, but as of right now, we only have plans for those two shows, and we're going to have a separate we're going to have a separate MP3 and video for each of those shows. So if you're only a fan of Arrow, then you don't need to listen to the Flash stuff. If you're only a fan of Flash, you don't need to listen to the Arrow stuff. But I'm assuming most of you will probably be, watching both shows and, listen to both podcasts if you want. That's pretty much it as far as this introduction episode. We have an email address. It is capes@outofcontinuous.com. You can write in and ask us questions, or you can give us your feedback on what you thought of the current week's episode. So the episodes come out on Tuesday and Wednesday. That should give you some time to write in either on Thursday or Friday morning or whatever. And we'll if your email's not too long, we'll definitely read it on the show. So that's pretty much it as far as this introduction. Do you have anything to add, Eric?
Not really.
All right, so I'll end this. Whoa, you super Skyped there. you lagged really bad right there. What was it you said, Eric? Okay, I'll go ahead and wrap this up. You can follow us by liking us on Facebook, following us on Twitter, contact us at capes@atticangenius.com. All these can be found on the website, atticangenius.com/TV podcasts. You can give me a tweet. I am at SayedStafa. That's at SayedStafa. Do you have a Twitter, Eric?
Nope.
All right. So with that said, I'm Stafa.
And I'm Eric.
All right. Later.
Later.